All right, welcome to another episode of season 3 of Dr. G at the Heart of Healthcare. Today, we're going to talk about funding your care with a reverse mortgage. Today, our expert is Mr. David Paget, or less David Patrick Paget. He's our expert who is going to help us learn about reverse mortgages. How are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you, Dr. G, for having me on the podcast this morning.
Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to learn about this. The valuable resource today, everyone, is going to be C2 Financial, a mortgage company in which you can find any mortgage company, but we have the privilege of learning from David today. So let's just jump in. Let's see, a little bit of your background. A Canadian, hello, a lot of people trying to move there now. So he's telling me he moved here, one of 8 kids in the 60s. And interesting fun things in your career. You used to drive a truck for Coca Cola in your 20s and 30s. How was that? Was
Yes,
fun, huh?
it was fun. And the thing about Coca Cola is not only is it a national brand, it's a worldwide brand. So when you're wearing the Coca Cola shirt, you can pretty much enter any building you want and people just flag you in. It's like, come on in, you got the Coca Cola.
Yep, it's like McDonald's. Come on in, whatever you say.
Exactly.
Oh, excellent. And then you mentioned that then you got into real estate and you've been serving families down here in the French Valley, Murrieta Valley, Temecula, and all that over here, right?
Yeah, so in 1999, I left the beverage business and transitioned into real estate. I had a real estate license. I was dabbling a little bit in mortgage, just as I was working at Coca Cola. And then one of my friends said, have you ever thought about new home sales? I go, oh, actually, no, I haven't thought about new home sales. She goes, well, you should go talk to Jimmy. So I come out to French Valley, which in 1999, I don't even know if it existed. I mean, it was just a little spot on the map. Winchester Road was just a two-laner. There's no stop signs. There was really not much in Temecula. And she said, hey, we got, 80 acres out here. We have three communities. Our start price is 135,000, and we were pushing the envelope at 185,000 in 2002. So now those same homes are going for, $500,000, and they're 30 years old.
Wow. Well, the most interesting thing that I heard is you're a wine tour on the weekends. Tell me about that fun because I'm going to join one of your tours.
Well, now that I'm a senior citizen and I'm collecting my Social Security benefit, I subsidize that income by working on the weekends in the wine country. So I work for a company, and we pick up our guests either at hotels or the Stampede or somewhere around Temecula or even at Airbnbs, and we take them to four different properties. And each property we're there for at least an hour, and we expose them to the different varietals that the winery has to offer. One of the wineries we have lunch at. If you don't know each other when you get on the vehicle, you will know each other by the time you get off the vehicle.
I
It,
bet.
wine is the leveler. It knows no boundaries. Everybody appreciates the wine, and it's an experience. It's really a fun experience, and of course, I have a lot of fun delivering the experience.
Yeah, I mean, wine is science, it's agriculture. It is very interesting. So thank you for sharing those things you know, and sharing how you're using this fun activity, to supplement your fixed income because that's what's important here. So let's just jump into the topic today. So funding your care with a reverse mortgage. So I know everyone here believes that you're never gonna slow down, you're never gonna get ill, your parents are out there living just fine and they're never going to need your help, but the reality is things can change drastically. And so healthcare and finances drive everything during the late stages of life. And let me just remind you all, we talk about the late stages of life often on this podcast, and that is a time when start slowing down. You may need some caregiving support, may need to have your adult children back involved in your life. They've been gone for years, or, something, a crisis happens, and then you need to move things around to get the care that you need in your home, or someplace else. You may need to pay for it. You may need to move into a residential care facility for the elderly, like a boarding care or an assisted living or a memory care or something like that. But these things cost. Nothing is free. And so I want to bring you resources so that you have options for how to take care of yourself and look ahead on how that nest egg you've been saving is going to be spent. So today we're going to talk about reverse mortgages. So this is people who may have their family home, they're still living in it, but it's an asset that can be used, and you don't necessarily have to sell it, but you can pull from it to support your care. So let's just jump into how this process works, and I'm going to give you the floor, David. So where does someone start if they are living in their family home? Let's say they're in their 70s, 80s, and they want to make sure that everything is good to go for them and their spouse if they have one.
Well, thank you, Dr. G. I appreciate that. You said nest egg, which is, we all know the sacrifices that you make over the years by saving and investing into either a 401k or retirement plan. And the financial planners that we work with help educate families that there's a hidden there's a hidden bucket of income out there, which is your current equity position. When a family pulls equity from a home that they've lived in over the years, excuse me, um, there's no taxable event. It takes to build that nest egg, the sacrifices that we've made over the years. And our financial planners have guided us through investment strategies and how to make that money last. But what a lot of financial planners don't think about is the nest egg that we've built in your equity. Equity grows with or without you. You don't really have to do anything to have appreciation in real estate. We all know that the home that you purchased 20 years ago is probably worth 3 times what it was when you purchased it. If you paid it down diligently, you have a strong equity position. Now, lucky for us, the government hasn't figured out how to tax equity. So you could pull $150,000 equity out of your current home without having a taxable event. You don't have to use it right away, but you can add it to your nest egg. A scenario would be if families lived in their house for, say, 25 or 30 years and they're in their 70s and they have a strong equity position, say 500,000. The investor, the bank that will help them use that equity without creating another monthly payment, will allow them to use a portion of it, not all of it, a portion of it. Because in the end, the bank wants to get paid back whatever they've let you use with interest. An example would be on that $500,000 home. If the family took 150,000 out, they'd still have a $350,000 equity position. They could use that 150,000 for whatever they want to. If they keep that balance for, say, 10 years, they're going to owe at least 200,000 after the 10 years, because in a reverse mortgage, the equity is actually added to the loan, not taken away. Like as you pay your mortgage down over the years, the mortgage goes down. In a reverse, the mortgage actually goes up, but you never have a monthly payment. And the beauty of the reverse mortgage, Dr. G, is they can use those funds, they can subsidize their income without creating another monthly payment for themselves. Because when you talk long-term care or you tell me there's going to be more expenses, I start getting nervous. It's like, well, wait, I'm good now, but you're going to throw on another $600-800 a month. How am I going to do that? I mean, what my assets are going to run out in what, maybe 12, 14, 16 months if I don't have other income that I can work with. So it really is like it's a net, it's a cushion, it's a net, it's a safety net to where you can leave those assets in your portfolio. You can let them continue to work for you, work with your financial planner. They will grow. Sorry. Let your other assets grow.
Okay.
So the reverse mortgage allows them to use the equity position that they've appreciated over the years, and they don't have a monthly payment. So they could pull that 150,000 out, use it for whatever they want to, and when they move out or sell the house, then the loan becomes due and payable. The other beauty of the reverse mortgage is only one spouse has to stay in the property. As long as one spouse stays in the property, they continue to use the reverse mortgage. Once both spouses move out of the property and don't occupy for 12 months, then the loan becomes due and payable. That's when the heirs come in. They either buy the house themselves by paying back what was taken from the reverse, or they sell the house and pay back what was taken from the reverse. But they always have an equity position because the bank does not want them to run out of equity. In the end, we know the bank wants to get paid. They don't want your house. They don't want to take the house from the kids. They don't want to sell the house. They're not in the real estate business. They're in the business of lending money and getting money back with interest. It's a vehicle that a lot of families are using to subsidize long term care. They can rest in peace knowing that their spouse is taken care of. They can do a monthly setup to where they actually just receive a 10-year an amount each month. They can use it as a line of credit. They can just let it sit and be available when necessary. Once they use it, that's when the interest starts getting paid back.
Okay, so what are some of the misconceptions about this process? There must be some out there because more people would be using it.
The biggest misconception, Dr. G, is that the bank's going to take your house. Again, the bank doesn't want your house. Actually, your kids don't want your house. They just want the equity. Or same with the bank. I mean, most people, they're if your kids are doing well, they're not waiting for you to pass so they can move into your property. Uh, so the misconception is that you'll lose your house, you'll lose your equity, you have nothing to leave behind. When I sit at the table with a senior citizen, we look at the matrix. The first thing they say to me is, "I'm going to live to be 103." I said, "Great." So we look down the matrix and they say, "How much equity will I have at the age of 103?" And we always end up the same place that you have right now, the same equity position that you have now, 300,000, because your equity will continue to grow with the value of the the mathematics have already been figured out for us. There's a lot of smart people running these machines behind the scenes where we don't have to get involved with that. We know that they're not going to lose. Very conservative investors like Mutual of Omaha, Finance America, people that have been around forever, they're putting their money out front with the assumption that you're not going to live at least another 30 years, but they project it for 30 years. So if you're 65 years old, you could live another 30 years. 95 is not, unattainable. If you're 70 years old, you might live on another 30 years. The way that the reverse mortgage is set up, the older the client is, the more money they have access to.
So is this something that people do as a part of their estate plan? We covered estate planning at the end of life on this podcast. So is this something that's a part of that, or is it something that they do when they actually want the money? I'm just trying to figure out the timing of this process.
Both. Like in our case, we set up our family trust just recently, last couple of years. I'm 68 years old, but my wife is at a disadvantage. She's only 53. So she's got a ways to catch up, but our property is in the estate. When she is old enough or becomes eligible, I'll reverse our home and she'll be able to live here for $800 a month and never have a house payment. When I say $800 a month, I mean you still have to pay your taxes, your insurance, maintain the property. If you have an HOA, you have to pay that as well. Once a year, you have to tell the lender, "I'm alive and well, I still live in the property." You have to certify once a year that you're actually occupying the property.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Interesting. Is there any risk? Not everyone has adult children. Not everyone has a good relationship with their adult children, as I see, in the work that I do in end of life. Is there a risk of, the plan being derailed by anyone? Or
It's
I'm just
highly
trying to.
recommend. I'm sorry.
No, go
It's,
ahead.
it's highly recommended that you create a living trust. That way, the house does not go into probate. There's not confusion at the end. It's laid out as to who's going to do what and who's going to receive whatever you're leaving for them. So if you put it in a trust, on that note, though, I want to make sure that people understand you cannot or you do not want to add any children or anyone else to the title of a reverse mortgage. some people are like, well, I'm going to add my kids to title. Well, now you've skewed the reverse mortgage. It's not really a reverse mortgage anymore because that child or that dependent is not old enough to qualify for a reverse mortgage. If you have it in the trust will override it, will explain this is what we're going to do when we're no longer around. But if you have another son or a daughter or another person on the title, it will skew the reverse mortgage. And they'll tell. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to throw this in there right now while I'm talking about that. We cannot offer a reverse mortgage to any family until they've both gone to counseling from a third party. The third party counselors are actually trained to ask questions that will help protect the senior citizen because senior citizens are a protected class. So before we could even start the process, you have to talk to somebody and they will ask you questions. Did they tell you have to pay your taxes and insurance? Did they tell you have to occupy the property? Did they tell you not to add anyone else to title? Just so you understand what you're committing to.
Oh, that's excellent. Okay, so this sounds like a good adjunct to estate planning. So, for people in my age bracket, just hit 50 or in the 40s, is this something, that we can like plan and then just revisit once we hit 60s? Is that how it works?
I'm almost laughing because a 50-year-old thinks differently than a 70-year-old. Here's the best example I have. My son-in-law is 40 years old, and recently I had a colonoscopy. He's like, "Oh my gosh, when's that going to happen for me?" I go, "They'll let you know. You're only 40 years old. It's not a conversation you need to have right now."
Yeah, yeah. 45, they're doing them early. Let them know.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah,
yes, I mean, you can certainly plant the seed. Um, you wouldn't even qualify or look at a reverse mortgage until you're at least 62 or 65 years old, and that's assuming that you have a strong equity position. So yeah, you can
understood.
forward plan, but definitely the conversation starts when you're in your mid 60s.
Okay, okay. Fantastic. Well, this sounds like something very exciting. I'm not sure if there's things on the website for people to explore, but I will put, a link to that in the show notes. You've given us a lot to think about. I think while we were planning, my number one question was, why wouldn't someone just get a home equity line of credit? And you answered that for me. It's because you don't want another payment when you're on a fixed income as a senior. So it totally makes sense to me why this would be something good and something where you don't have to get rid of the house. You can keep the house in the family if that's what you choose to do. But seems like people really have to be on top of their trust living and their all that stuff, make sure that they have that all in line.
Well, I'd like to put my personal contact in there if that's okay, because the website.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll put a link to your personal contact with your bio in the show notes so people can contact you and answer any questions. But I thank you for teaching us about reverse mortgage today.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate the time.
All right. Peace, everyone. Signing out.
Thank you.